So today's class is going to focus on generating strength through the legs up to the core. And we're going to do a lot of leg strengthening. So my recommendation is to be really gentle instead of pushing and, grasping and having anything over engage. Just see what naturally comes so that each time we repeat it, you have a lot left. And the bonus of that is the more gentle we can be as we approach some of these challenging postures, is the more muscles will come online in a subtle way to support us. So we don't have to over-engage. We can still breathe. We can still be fluid and really enjoy this holistic strength. So with that, we'll begin in a seated posture in the middle of the mat. And you're welcome to have a cushion underneath you. We'll just be here for a few moments of breathing and interoception. And I'll tell you when to hit play on the music if you're going to be following along with that. So once you're comfortable, you're welcome to close the eyes. And just start to arrive in the body. Maybe just trace the edges of your form, the edges of the skin, and just feel your body in space, three-dimensionally. You might notice the support beneath you, sense of spaciousness around you and above you. And then just start noticing the natural breath flow coming into this space. And just try to relax a little bit more. Maybe feel the hips soften. Imagine the legs pooling beneath you. They just gently take up more space on the mat. And from this softer place, notice if the breath can flow a little slower, a little smoother. And as the awareness sinks inside, notice any areas of the body that are giving you feedback. Just a little bit of tension somewhere, some sensation, not always negative. Just start tuning into the clues that your body's giving you about what it needs. And then keeping awareness on the breath, awareness the body as 3 dimensions in space. We'll start to introduce some gentle movements. And so begin by rocking the pelvis from side to side. Start to feel the shifting around on the sits bones, maybe different muscles around the pelvis being compressed and released. And start to notice how the spine naturally follows the movement of the pelvis effortlessly. And even though you're all moving slowly and consciously already, try moving even slower. And just notice how sensation in the body increases. You can gently start to circle on the sits bone, starting really small. And notice how that may change sensation through the core. The body has to stabilize more when you lean forward and back. And again, move extra slow. And start to pay attention to the moment when you start leaning back in the circle. And the muscles in the legs, specifically the tops of the thighs, the quadriceps, how they can gently engage to support you. They naturally join up into the front of the core. And just be aware of that connection, where it's not just the core supporting you, but these connections down into the legs. And if you're following along with the music, you can hit play on the first track called A1. Next time you circle backward, pause for a moment as you're leaning back. Notice the connection of the core down into both legs. And then reverse your circles and let the circles start really small. Awareness begins at the sit bones. And then slowly allow the circles to grow. But as your movement gets bigger, try to move even slower. So there really is this consciousness every single moment, kind of like how when you have a sparkler, you can see the trail that it makes as you draw in the air. Almost feel that awareness in the body. And then just as consciously, slowly start to turn to the left. Allow the legs to extend in front of you. Place the hands behind you and continue in a similar way, but notice any sense of relief as there's more extension in front of the hips. Keep the elbows bent so there's a springiness, a little bit of extra weight on the outside of the hand can be beneficial. And with this new orientation, continue with the circles and continue feeling that connection of the core supporting you and that linking down into the legs. And almost think of the hands like gentle tricycle or training wheels, right? Where it's like you don't always use them, but they're there so you don't fall. And so when there's not so much weight in the hands, you might feel a little bit more interaction between the core and the legs. And you can always take a break as you circle forward because it can be kind of intense. And go the opposite direction. And then we'll slowly make our way onto our back, just swaying, shifting hands off to the side so you've got more and more space. But think of this as just an extension of what you were already doing. So there's still that awareness of core down into legs, even as you lay down. And then pause on the back. And notice again the body in space and this new orientation. Observe the breath filling the edges of the body. And very gently start to circle the feet as effortlessly as possible so there's no cramping or tension in the ankles or the calves. As you circle the feet, bring your hands to the crease of the pelvis and see if you can feel just the ever so gentle rotation of the femurs and the hip socket. And start to get a sense of how what the feet do relates all the way up the legs, all the way up to the pelvis. You might even start to notice a gentle rocking of the pelvis and how that affects the spine and the curves of the spine. Circle the other way. You might feel the ripple effect all the way up to the scalp. And then again, just pause for a moment. Observe the stillness. Notice any sensations. Sometimes a little warmth or tingling. And then we'll begin our sequence. So lengthen the fingertips down, reaching towards the corners of the mat, and slowly drag the heels in. And just notice the back line of the body working to pull the legs in. And once the soles of the feet can flatten, slowly put some weight into the feet, lift the hips, and then set the hips down and allow the feet to naturally move a little forward, a little wide, and repeat that. So feet press, hips lift just a couple inches, and then hips down, and adjust the feet until you find a place where the feet feel really grounded, the knees feel really supported, and it's really easy to lift the hips. Notice a sense of the thighs feeling really strong and driving forward rather than falling out to the side. And once you've found your great setup for your feet, we'll slowly release the sacrum back down and then start to lift one vertebra at a time. And as you lift one vertebra at a time, the next vertebra gets a little extra pressure on the mat. So let that sensation travel up the spine all the way above the shoulders. And then slowly set one vertebra at a time back down. Really trying to sense the shape and the pressure of each of those joints. We'll do this just a couple of more times. It's okay to press down into the shoulders, the hands, and the feet, but try to make sure nothing is gripping. So there's just a sense of the whole body working to gently lift and then to gently set back down. And the next time the hips start to lower, pause with the sacrum lifted, and then take a moment to speed it up so the bottom of the spine lowers, the sacrum drops, and the left leg can kick up. And try to feel that little ricochet. And then set the foot back down and repeat that again. So slow peel up and then release with control. But once you get halfway, let the spine drop and let the leg, it's sort of like that reflex, as if a doctor just pounded the kneecap with a little mallet. It's like that same feeling as the leg unfurls. And just take a couple rounds of that on your own to feel that connection of legs to core and how the leg naturally goes as far as it wants to, right? You don't have to tell it to go deeper. There's just a range of motion that's there for it. The next time it lifts, pause, circle the ankle up towards the ceiling, and then lift the hands up towards the ceiling and slowly lower the foot forward and the hands back, feeling their connection point at your center. And I totally forgot that we wanted to be slightly to the right. So when we roll, we're on our bellies. So scooch over till the right side of the body is off of the mat. And then gently start to kick the right foot into the earth, rolling over the left side, and really milk this moment. Try to feel the foot behind you and the thigh connecting into the hip socket and then all the way into the core as you slowly make your way all the way onto the belly with the right foot up. The knee stays bent. We're going to call this a little stinger leg. And so rest the forehead for a moment, keep the knee bent, and imagine there's a connection between your right foot and the back of your heart and your elbows. And so as the right leg starts to extend, the body naturally peels up in a floating cobra. And then as the body releases, the leg comes back up. And so imagine that connection and just take a couple of pulses, lengthening the foot back, peeling the back of the heart up, and then bending the knee so that the body can release. The next time you're released down and the leg is bent, slowly lift the right knee and let the right foot cross over the body from where it came. But take a moment to square the right elbow down so there's a little bit of tension, so the foot doesn't easily fall. You can just feel that right side of the body really stretching. Imagine you've got like a really heavy high heel on, and it's just gently pulling the leg open, the pelvis open, and then one vertebra at a time. And then eventually the foot wins, and you're able to slowly roll onto the back, same place that we began. At the same time, drag the left heel in, give yourself a big hug, and then tuck the knees and the arms up towards each other in a little crunch. And then slowly release the feet down to bridge, head down, and let the arms drip over the face and slowly draw a big circle around you all the way back down to bridge. And we're going to repeat that whole sequence but with fewer repetitions and a little bit faster. So slowly lift the pelvis into bridge and then release it back down. Let the left leg kick up, arms up. Stretch left foot and arms apart, and then kick into the right foot, slowly rolling onto the belly. Right leg stays lifted, and then as you start to kick the right leg up, peel the heart up and draw the elbows back. And then reach arms forward, let the leg bend. And this time set the leg down, so you're just laying on the belly. Drag the hands back and slowly push back to devotional pose. Push down into the shins, guiding the hips forward so one vertebra at a time stacks, coming all the way up to kneeling. Place the hands at the hip creases, and sometimes we have tight hips and there's a little divot here even when we're trying to neutralize. So our goal is to really flatten this space so there's like a dropping of the tailbone and the front of the hips can open. And so the hands will stay there for some feedback. Bend the hips forward or backward halfway and then tuck the tailbone under. Notice how the spine starts to react to that. Push down into the legs and come back to kneeling. And we're going to do this a bunch of times. So it starts with the hips flexing halfway, and then tuck the tailbone, letting the spine start to wave back up. Allow that sensation to really start with the legs and the pelvis, and try to feel how the spine just naturally flows upward. Yeah, you guys all look really great, and we're going to repeat this a few times, so see if you can relax a little bit so that there's no strain anywhere. You're just feeling the support from the legs and letting that support travel up. And as we repeat this, it's okay to allow the front of the body to open a little bit more in a slight back bend, but you don't have to. Just give yourself that possibility. And the next time the hips flex back, shift the weight into the left leg and step the right foot in front of you. Release the hands either inside of the foot or to either side, whatever is comfortable, and start to bend and extend the right leg. Bring all your awareness to your right ankle. We're just trying to create a lot of nice glide in the ligaments and the fascia surrounding the ankle. So just notice those two movements as the knee comes forward, the foot dorsiflexes, and as the knee comes away, the foot plantar flexes. We'll just take a few moments to glide through this. And don't worry, you're not really doing much, but Angeli, just keep the foot down so that when you come away, there's like a stretch. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so actually the foot doesn't do anything. But that happens in the ankle just as the body moves. The next time you come forward, place your hands inside the foot and extend the leg behind you. Drop the knee again so you create a little bit extra space, and then just take some nice big circles with the pelvis. We're not going to repeat this part in the sequence, but it's really nice as we do leg and hip work to make sure our psoas is release. And then come to center and slowly start to walk the hands back and slide the right foot back until it's right in front of the left knee. So it's kind of like a low kneeling position. Reach the hands forward and take a few shifts forward and back. And this does take quite a bit of ankle flexibility, so it is okay to walk the foot forward if that's uncomfortable. Otherwise, keeping the ankle close is going to be good for building more mobility there. And keep the weight in the heel, so there's no pressure in that knee. And we're going to add the arms in here. So the next time the hips glide forward, let the hands drop and let the hips lift, and then reach the hands forward as the hips come back. And start to notice the rocking sensation in the pelvis. We're going to actually take this momentum all the way up to standing. And the most important thing is to keep the weight in the right heel when we shift, so there's no pressure in that knee. So as you feel ready, the weight will shift forward, drive down into the right heel to slowly stand up. Nice. Awesome. Let the left foot come underneath you and pause for a moment, close the eyes, and just notice that right leg. Notice any sense of alertness, support, just traveling up through the right foot to the right hip and the core. And then walk forward just beyond halfway and pause. And we'll have a similar experience in the hips that we had from kneeling. So bend the knees, send the hips back, chair pose, just like we did from kneeling, and then curl the tailbone under as you push down into the feet, letting the front of the pelvis flatten and letting the spine wave up. And then repeat that a few times. So hips flex, and then tuck tailbone and push into the feet, letting the spine unfurl. And move as slowly as you need to feel the water-like quality of this movement. The next time the spine unfurls, reach the arms down and wide. Slowly push into the feet, coming onto the tippy toes, and squeeze the legs together slightly so the ankles don't roll out to the side. And then let the heels drop. Lengthen the hips back, toes out for a squat. And then let the hips lift so that you can release forward into Uttanasana.
sits bones heavy. Push down into the heels, guide the hips forward, letting the spine stack. We'll repeat that a couple of times. So onto the tiptoes, arms back. Let the front of the body lengthen just a little bit. And then heels down, sweep the arms forward, send the hips back. Let the toes turn out a little bit and think more like Malasana and less like a chair pose. So I'm going to turn so you can see it. So we've got a squat here. And then push into the feet and turn the toes forward as you release forward. So we'll play with those three shapes for a few moments, rolling up slowly so you can feel one vertebra at a time. Come on to the tiptoes and just let the whole body lengthen. And then heels drop, arms swing forward. Let the sits bones get really heavy. And then release the hands forward. Let the head rest forward and slowly lift the hips up. Last round, heavy sits bones. Stack one vertebra at a time. Hands back, tippy toes. And feel a sense of strengthening rising up through the legs into the core. And then slowly set the heels down and lower the hips down. The hands can reach straight forward. This is going to help activate our deep calf muscles. And just gently sway the hips from side to side. Let the toes turn out any amount. Let the feet widen. You can bring your hips all the way down if this isn't comfortable in the hip socket. And from here, let the hips lower. Extend the legs. Let the hands glide over the legs. Bend the knees a little bit so there's no resistance. And then kick into the heels and let the body slowly recline all the way down. And then scooch halfway off your mat to the left so that when we roll onto our bellies, we've got our mat to our right. And so just take a moment on the back, scanning the right side of the body, noticing any new awareness or space. We're going to add a little extra core here. So bring the arms to a T and bend the knees, stacking them right over the hips, and start to draw some circles with the knees. Now as you draw circles with the knees, notice the sensations connecting up into the core and all the way up to the shoulders. And if you want a little bit more here, draw some bigger circles. The more the knees reach away, the more you might feel the core stabilizing, and go the opposite direction. And then center the knees, release the feet down, reach the hands towards the heels. Slowly push down into the heels, letting the front of the body open, which might feel really nice after that core work. And then set one vertebra down at a time. Let the hips drop and right leg unfurls. Slowly reach arms up and reach the right foot forward and the arms overhead. Kick into the left foot and take your time. Rolling over the right side of the body. Keep the left leg bent. You can even reach the left leg back a little bit to control the untwisting. And then as the left leg extends, peel the back of the heart up. Let the arms bend to cactus. And then bend the knee to let the body recline. And do that one more time. The next time the left leg's bent, go back the way you came. Slow motion so you really feel the work from the left hip peeling open and the left armpit resisting that. Just noticing the spine gently rotating, and then eventually the foot wins. Return to the back, but try to feel your way there. And then simultaneously drag right heel in, give yourself a hug, and curl up to a little crunch. And then melt the feet down, melt the arms over the third eye, and let them circle wide around you all the way back to bridge. And we'll do that just one more time. So consciously lift into your bridge pose. Let the front of the hip open. And then release the spine down. Right leg naturally unfurls. Arms up, stretch foot and hand apart. And then kick into the left foot. Slowly rolling onto the belly. Extend the left leg back. Peel the upper body up. And then bend the knee to let the body fall back down. One more time. Kick the leg back, peeling the body up. This time plant the hands behind the shoulders and gently press back to devotional pose. Push down into the shins. Guide the hips forward. Feel them stacking one vertebra at a time. And then hands to the flat front of the hips. And we'll just do a couple of these. So hips back. And then tuck the tailbone under as you guide the hips forward. Let the spine unfurl. And once you've got the hang of that, we can release the hands from the hips, though you can always put them back as a guide, right? Because they're always going to help you find this motion. And so once you've got it, the hands can reach forward as the hips go back. And then as the tailbone tucks under, the hands can sweep back, allowing the whole front of the body to open, big circle. And then we repeat. If it ever gets confusing with the arms, just take them out of it. It's way more important to focus on the legs and the spine here. But sometimes it's really nice once that movement feels really natural, you can start to feel how the arms become a natural expression of it. Everything connected. The next time the hips flex, shift the weight into the right foot, step the left foot forward, and release the hands down. Guide the right knee back a little bit, left leg forward. We'll start with just sending the left knee forward and back. So keep the foot rooted. And as the knee comes forward and back, just notice the angle of the ankle. If you notice any stiffness here, be really gentle with yourself, but it is very possible to help that fascia start to glide more, which is really going to help with our awareness of the ground, awareness of balance and stability. The next time the knee comes forward, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, stretch the feet apart, and then drop the knee back down. So it might be a little bit wider so that you have got some space to circle the pelvis. Nice, big, smooth, slow circles. And then slowly walk the hands back, walk the feet back until the foot is just in front of the back knee. And we'll start to play with building a little bit of momentum in the legs. And as the knee shifts forward, it's safe as long as there's no pain and as long as the weight is in the heel. And once you've got the hang of the feet, the hands come in. So hands forward as the hips go back, and then hands back as the hips go forward, just like we did in the kneeling exercise. And so start to visualize yourself as the hips send forward and weight goes into that left leg. Visualize yourself starting to stand up effortlessly. Like the momentum just carries you there. And when you feel ready, the next time the weight shifts forward and you're ready, try stepping up. Wow, you guys made it look easy. Awesome. And then the right foot glides forward, and just pause for a moment in Tadasana. Noticing the left side of the body, any tingling, any opening. And so we'll skip the chair pose, and
And we'll go right into our tippy toe stance and Malasana. So I'm going to turn just so that you can see what I'm doing better. So wherever the feet are is fine for the first round. Slowly shift the weight into the balls of the feet, lifting the ankles. Let the front of the body lengthen and try to feel the tailbone dropping so the pelvis is really neutral. Hands glide back. And then drop the heels, arms swing forward, hips back, and slowly let the toes turn out to help accommodate the pelvis as you squat a little lower. And then turn the feet forward, lift the hips, and melt the head forward, Uttanasana. To come up, push into the heels, guide the pelvis forward, stack one vertebra at a time, and then just come all the way up to tippy toe, Tadasana. Breathe. And then as you're ready, drop the heels, swing the arms, send the hips back, and adjust the feet. Each time you might feel like you can go deeper or not. That's not the goal. Lift the hips, heavy head, toes turn forward, Uttanasana. And then slowly push down to rise up. And all the changing of the feet might feel annoying at first. It's really good to get those little articulations in the hip socket. So try to start to invite that movement. Hips send back for the squat. Let the toes turn out. Notice how the thighs externally rotate. And then hips up, toes forward, and notice how the thighs internally rotate. Last one. And then lower the hips all the way down. Scooch towards the center of your mat and then over to the right. Extend the legs in front of you, little bend in the knees, and just melt forward to release the back of the body. And then kick into the heels, let the whole body unfurl, and just recline for a moment. We've finished both sides, so we'll repeat and add on. This is a great time to have a sip of water, and then we'll go to the second track. And for those of you who are listening later, the second track is called Scattering Light. Okay, so you guys know the drill by now, but we'll go through the things you already know a little faster so that we've got time to use our strong legs and our strong core for a really fun balancing sequence. So from the back, remember you're just to the right of the mat, so closer to the screen. And just take a moment to observe body, observe breath. Arms to T, and bend the knees, stack them over the hips. Two options here. As you circle, you can keep the knees bent, or if you want a little bit more and it doesn't create any strain, you can straighten the legs. But just choose wisely and really try to feel a sense of integration. That's more important than what the legs are doing. And go the opposite direction. And then the next time the legs are up, bend the knees, drop the heels down, hands reach towards them, slowly lift into bridge, paying attention to the front of the hips, really lengthening and flattening. And then release the spine down, left leg reflexes up. Reach hands overhead as you slowly lower the leg, feel them connecting at the center. And then kick into the right foot, slowly rolling onto the belly with your stinger leg. Kick the right leg back, let the body peel up, floating cobra. And then plant the hands wide alongside the body. Push back into devotional pose. Take a breath towards the low back and just gently sway from side to side.
And then push down into the shins. Guide the hips forward, slowly rising up to kneeling. We'll just take one of our hip sequences so you guys can remember that. So hips fold, tuck the tail under, let the whole body roll up, drag the hands back, let the front of the body open. And now we'll add on a little bit. So as the hips roll back, tuck the toes under and slowly roll over the feet into Malasana. Let the hips lift like a pendulum swinging, and as they drop, let the knees come forward and open the front of the body. So feel free to observe just a gentle pendulum swinging of the pelvis. Make sure the knees are okay with this, and if they're not, if it's too much, you can stick with that same really lovely movement that we did in the first round. We'll just take one more. And the next time you're in Malasana, pause there and push into the feet and just try to create a little space in all of the joints. And then toes forward, hips up, Uttanasana. Drop the tailbone, push down into the heels. Slowly let the whole back of the body shorten to lift you up. And then tippy toe Tadasana, hands back, front of the body opens. Bend the knees, hips back, toes open to Malasana, as low as is comfortable. But remember, we've got a lot of leg stuff happening. And then push into the feet, hips up, head down. Drop the tailbone, push down into the feet, slowly rising up. Shift the weight into the right foot, lift the left foot and just gently twist towards it. And then set the left foot down and turn all the way to the right. So you're facing the short edge of the mat. Same thing, shift weight into the right foot, lift the left and twist towards it. And then set the left foot down and walk to the center of the short edge of the mat and just pause in standing for a moment. Shift the weight into the left foot and bend the right knee. Let the right knee drop and sway the heel from side to side, just gently internally and externally rotating the thigh. Arms can reach down and wide to help you stabilize. You can also find a drishti, a steady gaze point. And just start to tune into the breath and notice the little wiggles in the left ankle, helping you to maintain stability. And then let the kneecap drop, let the sits bones drop, and just find a nice weighted center position. Place the palm to the right foot and gently press the right foot up and back in silent dancer pose. And swing the right leg forward. And do that again. So foot back, feel the back of the body activate. It's harder than normal dancer pose. And then the right leg swings forward. Do that a couple times. The next time the right leg is forward, let the foot get really heavy, circle the foot around, and start to draw a big circle with the right knee over to the right, and then actually back behind you, and the pelvis has to tip forward to do this. Set the toes behind you for a moment, and bend and extend the legs a couple of times, just to get really springy. And make sure the back knee isn't taking too much pressure, so you might play with walking the back foot out a little bit or not bending the knee as intensely. And the next time the knees bend, bring your arms to a T and ever so gently lengthen the right side of the body all the way up the right leg to the right side body, to the right armpit, and imagine yourself like an airplane just banking to the left. And then everything that lengthens slowly pulls you back up to neutral. Shift the weight forward, and this time we get full on dancer pose, so bend the right knee and you can hold on to the ankle. Reach the left arm anywhere that is comfortable and just gently kick the foot into the hand to unfurl the front of the spine. And then slowly shift the weight into the left heel and bend the left knee just a little bit. And it's going to be maybe challenging, so don't worry about going very far. And then extend the left leg. Keep the weight in the left heel and just take a couple of bends in our shrimp squat prep pose, just really strengthening that left leg. And the next time the left leg bends, release the right ankle so the toes can lower, and use that as support to slowly lower the back knee all the way down with control. Nice. Great. Control is the name of the game, so there's no tension here. You guys might remember this transition, right? We took a few shifts here, so hips forward, hands back. Take a few pulses. Remember to keep the weight in the front heel. And as you're ready, you'll step back up right into that silent dancer, that first part of the sequence. Nice. And then the leg swings forward. Bend the right knee, big circle with the right leg, circling it behind you, and then step the right toes back. Bend both knees, airplane wings, bank to the left. Let the whole right side of the body open. Make sure the low back is lengthening. And then come back to center. Shift the weight into the left foot and slowly bend the right knee. Grab the right ankle for dancer pose. Kick the foot into the hand. Let the whole front of the body open. And then slowly bend the left knee. Shrimp prep pose. And then whenever you need to, release the ankle down and slow motion. Release the knee and take a couple of pulses and let the left hip really relax here. Chances are it needs it, right? So think of this as this is your moment. This is your moment to let that left hip regenerate, and we're just going to do that sequence one more time. And so the next time the weight shifts forward, as you feel ready, step back up to silent dancer. And then swing the leg forward. Big circle with the bent knee. Step the foot behind you and take your airplane bank to the left and soften both knees as you do this. Slowly neutralize. Shift forward to dancer. And don't worry, we're not going to do a shrimp squat right now. So just enjoy the warmth in the legs and the hips. Let the front of the body open. And this time, let the right foot kick back. Place the foot down. The toes will be turned out just a tiny bit. Soften the front leg and slowly melt over the left leg. Tadasana, no resistance. Nice soft joints. Release the hands to the leg or the floor. Heavy head. And just gently sway the hips from side to side. And then step the right foot back just a little bit so you're kind of like in a plank pose. And glide the left leg along the mat, pushing into the hands. And then let the left foot fly for three-legged dog. Bend the left knee, that stinger leg we've been exploring a lot. Let the left foot get really heavy and just peel the hips open. Keep weight in both hands so the shoulders are nice and stable as you start to mobilize the spine. And then slowly lower the left foot to downward facing dog. Send the hips back. And remember that action of creasing the hips and then tucking the tailbone to unfurl the spine. We're going to try it here. So your hips are already creased. Bend the knees, tuck the tailbone, and push into the feet to unfurl the spine forward. Drop the knees, upward facing dog. And we're going to try that a few times. So if you didn't follow the first time, it's quite all right. You'll send the hips back. So there's our crease. Hover knees, push into the hands, reaching back to down dog. And then with knees nice and soft, buoyant hips, curl the tailbone under, and notice that impulse wants to just naturally send the spine forward and open. The knees can drop, so you've got a lot of support. Doesn't have to be a deep back bend. And just do one more on your own. Waving Vinyasa. The next time you're forward, send the hips back a little bit. Walk the hands back so you're really nice and stable. Lift the left leg. Oh, actually, before we do this, let's do a little bit of upper body strengthening. So extend the legs and swivel the heels from side to side. You can continue with that, or the next time the heels swivel to the left, you can stack shoulders in hand and then melt the hand back down, swivel the other way, and try to feel that sense of everything just naturally stacking. The top arm unfurls, kind of like pulling a bowstring back, but way easier. And then square both hands down. Now drop the knees. Extend the left leg, cross it over, and slowly let the right side of the hip lower. Extend the right leg, and you'll be turning to face the other way. Magically. Yay, you guys all made it. Good job. So scoot your hips towards the center of the mat. Bend the knees. Slow motion. Melt. And then kick into the heels. Let everything extend. And let's take a little extra rest because we kind of covered a lot of ground there. And so imagine just sinking deeper into the body, deeper into the breath. Do a little assessment, making sure everything feels supportive and nothing is getting tighter. As we challenge the body, we constantly have to make sure we're not overdoing it, right? We're not pushing too far or over-engaging. This practice should always help us feel better and more supported. When you're ready to begin the second side, arms to T, palms face up or down. I like down for more stability. Slowly lift the legs straight or bent, and we go into our core circles. And nothing ever has to feel intense, right? We'd rather feel really supported, really stable. And bend the knees, drop the feet, reach hands forward, slowly peel the body up. And then as the spine drops, right leg lifts, arms up, stretch the hands and foot apart, kick into the left foot, and take your time. Really try to enjoy the massage on the right side of the body. And then as the left leg kicks back, peel the upper body up, and then bend the left knee to release. And then kick the left leg back, but this time plant the hands down, push into the hands to slowly send the hips all the way back. Melt the forehead and gently press into one shin at a time to shift the weight from pelvis up to spine all the way up to the head. And then from center, push down into the shins, guide the hips forward, slowly coming all the way up to the knees. We'll take one hip crease, so send the hips back, tuck the tailbone under, and let that send an impulse up the front of the spine. And then tuck the toes under, and this time as you send the hips back, reach the hands forward, roll over the tops of the feet into Malasana. And then let the hips lift like a pendulum, swinging forward. Drop the hips, knees slowly lower, push down into the shins to slowly rise up. Hands forward, hips back, roll over the feet into Malasana, lift the hips, and then let them slowly guide the legs forward. And if this isn't not comfortable, you can keep rolling the spine open in the way that we did before. We'll do this one last time and we'll meet in Malasana. You can take a moment just shifting weight from side to side. Hands can come to center and just assess your support in Malasana. And then drop the hands, slowly lift the hips as you turn the toes forward and let the head hang heavy. Bend the knees and then push into the heels. Drop the sits bones as you stack one vertebra at a time. Shift onto tiptoes, reach the hands back, front of the body opens. And then instead of Malasana, just drop the heels. And just notice a sense of really grounded support in the feet, rising up from legs to pelvis. Shift the weight into the left foot. Lift the right knee, twist towards it, and then step the right foot forward and keep twisting to the left, turning on the toes till you're facing the other way with the left foot forward. Shift the weight into the left foot and lift the right knee, twisting towards it, and then drop the right foot, drop the hands, and just stand in Tadasana facing the other way and pause for a moment as we prepare for our super powered balancing sequence, and you guys are all going to do really awesome. Take a moment to bring awareness to the soles of the feet. Close the eyes. Notice how deeply balanced you are right now. And we'll see if we can maintain it as we play. Shift the weight into the right foot. Bend the left knee. And let the left knee drop straight down as you gently sway the heel from side to side, almost like a rudder steering a ship. And just notice that gentle internal and external rotation in the hip socket. So the hips actually stay steady, and it's just the thigh bone moving. Hands down and wide for balance. And then start to kick the left foot back. Bring the palm to meet the foot, reach the right arm forward, and just take a moment, hand to foot, and then swing the left leg forward and return. So we play from silent dancer to the leg swing, and try to relax as much as possible here so there's no tension in that hip. The next time the leg swings forward, bend the knee, arms to T, start to open the left knee off to the side, and then let it extend behind you. Kick into the foot, toes down. Soften both knees. Take a couple of bounces, airplane wings. And then slowly open through the left side of the body. So the arms actually stay at T, and it's the body that does the moving. The right arm can start to gently reach towards the left leg, but not dramatically. And then let the left side of the body close, so you return to neutral. And take a couple of shifts forward and back until you can shift all the weight into the front foot and grab the left ankle. Right arm reaches wherever is comfortable. And now kick the foot into the hand. Let the front of the hip open. Dancer pose. And slowly bring the weight into the right heel. Bend the right knee any amount. It doesn't have to be intense. And just take a couple of pulses. And then free the left ankle, let the toes drop, and use that as extra support as you lower the left knee all the way down. I know your right glute is probably feeling it. So as we gently rock the hips forward and back, try to relax the hips as much as possible. As the hips go back, the hands reach forward. As the hips guide forward, hands drop. As fluid and easy as possible. Take your time here. There really is no rush, but as you feel ready, you'll eventually shift the weight forward and stand up right into that silent dancer. You can always skip any part of this that the body's not asking for, but we will repeat it 2 more times. So the leg swings forward, big circle with the knee, and then step the foot back, bend both knees, give your right foot or right leg a break. So bring a lot of weight into the left leg, arms to airplane, and then open the left side. Almost imagine all your weight traveling down through the left hip, the left leg. And then recenter, shift the weight, dancer. Bend the knee, lowering any amount that's comfortable. You can drop the toes whenever you need to. And then we go into our shifts. Nice, Roseanne. And if you're not already lowered down, and you don't have to, you can just stay there because we'll be right there in a second. We'll shift forward back to standing last round. So silent dancer, leg swing, big circle, and then airplane. Let the whole left side of the body open. This is a really nice opener for the psoas. And then back to center. Last dancer pose. Shift the weight. Grab the ankle. Enjoy the sense of strength coming up through the legs into the core as you extend the spine. Imagine that exercise where you crease the hips and then you unfurled. See if that helps you just get a little bit more opening in the front of the body. And then free. Oh, don't free the leg. Free the leg. Yay, you don't have to do that again. Release the foot back and slowly soften the knees, melt forward, hands to the leg or the floor, bend, and sway the hips. And then send the left foot back just a little bit more so you're almost a plank distance. Push into the hands and glide the right leg back and up into three-legged dog. Bend the right knee. Keep the shoulders squared as that heavy foot peels, pelvis and spine open, any amount. And then slowly lower the right leg. Bend knees, push into hands for downward facing dog. And then tuck the tailbone and slowly roll the spine forward, drop the knees and pull the hands back to let the whole front of the body open. Nice soft elbows, no compression in the low back. Good. Keep the gaze forward so the back of the neck is long. Let's do that again. So send the hips back, keep the knees down, and then push into the hands, hover knees, and let the spine extend. Soft knees. Curl the tailbone forward. Let that send an impulse all the way up the spine, rolling through puffy plank. Drop the knees and then drag the hands back to let the front of the body unfurl. One last waving vinyasa on your own. If that was feeling really good and supported, you can keep the knees up in upward facing dog. Just make sure the low back feels really long. And then neutralize to plank, swivel the heels from side to side. Optionally, as the heels swivel to the right, you can lift the left hand, and then you can repeat that from side to side as long as there's no tension in the neck and shoulders when you do that. It's not for everyone, so you can totally keep both hands down and get all the same oblique work by just swiveling the heels. And the next time you center, drop the left knee, slide the right leg back. And actually don't do that. Come back to center, and we'll go right into the cool down. So slowly bring the right knee forward. And don't worry about swiveling the shin because we don't want too much deep rotation in the hip. Walk the hands up and just gently lengthen the heart forward for a nice supported pigeon pose. Yeah, your hips all look really nice and square. This is awesome. And we've done a lot of quad work. So if you would like to play with bending the knee, you can, but you don't have to. If that's feeling really good, you can also bend the knee and come up, kind of like a dancer pose. If your balance is feeling good, the other hand can lift. Just make sure there's no compression. It's harder without having the shin swiveled, because that creates a little bit more support. And then release back down. Let the right hip get heavy. So you slowly circle open, facing the screen. Let the right knee lift and drop it in. And just take a couple of these windshield wipers with the thighs. We're in an upper level hips training, and the more I learn about the hips, the more I really love incorporating more internal rotation of the hip, which we don't get a lot of in yoga. And the next time the knee fans open, return the way we came, push into the hands, and then let that right leg fly up for downward facing dog. You can let the hip open any amount that feels good. And then slowly lower the right leg down. Let's take one waving vinyasa. So bend the knees, press the hips up and back, downward facing dog. And then tuck the tailbone, rolling the spine forward, drop the knees, front of the body opens. And then keep the knees down, press the hips back, puppy pose, and then hover the knees, downward facing dog. Lift the left leg this time and swing the left knee towards the left wrist and swivel the shin just a few degrees, but not too deep. So same sequence, second side, which means we're going to end up facing away from each other. Slowly walk the hands in any amount, but make sure there's no compression in the low back. We've done a lot of work to release the front of the hips. And so notice if there's a little bit more freedom here than you might be used to, like a sense of the pelvis really dropping and the low back extensors feeling nice and long. Option to bend the back knee. Option to grab the back foot. You can balance, or you can even play with windshield wipering that foot a little bit. And then let the extend the leg, let the left hip get heavy, roll away from me, and we'll take those same windshield wipers. I'm turning just in case you need to see it, but let the thigh bone rotate in and rotate out any amount that feels comfortable. And then as you're ready, the next time it rotates towards the short edge of the mat, you can return to pigeon and kick back one last time to three-legged dog, letting the knee bend and the hips open. And notice what is available to you in your spinal mobility. We've done a lot of this, and so you might notice a little more rotation in a very supported way. Just enjoy that. And then slowly re-square hips, set the foot down, drop the knees, and send the hips back to the heels, melting the forehead. Let everything soften towards the earth. And when you're ready, slowly push down into the shins. Let the hips level and one vertebra at a time, stack until you're seated on your heels. And just one last time, because it's so good for the hips and the thighs, we'll play with that really nice gliding hip action that sort of permeated the entire sequence. But imagine using zero effort, right? Just let it be as gentle and even, supported from the front of the body and the back of the body at the same time. And just notice the gliding surfaces of the body, allowing this movement to be so smooth. The next time you come up to kneeling, just pause for a moment with the front of the hips open, letting the pelvis be really heavy and anchored. And then you can turn to face the screen. You can pause your music. You can gently find a comfortable seat. If you would like to grab a cushion or a blanket to sit on, you're welcome to. If you need a sip of water, I know I do.
And take your time getting as comfortable as possible, and notice if that's a little easier. Physically, we've done a lot of work for the legs and the core, and so this position might feel more supported and more effortless than usual. And if it's comfortable, you can close the eyes. Just like how we began, just notice the edges of your physical form. And notice any softness along those edges, where it's not so distinct, where you end and everything else begins. And Babaji says that our subtle body can be as vast as the universe. And so notice any real possibility for relaxing so deeply inside that the edges of your being start to feel vaster and vaster. From this place, it might be a little easier to observe the breath. It's like you're zooming out. There's less grip on the physical body, less grip on the breath. As you observe the breath, notice the rhythm. And sometimes we do need a little extra help exhaling. And so though we're trying not to force the breath, see if as you relax more, that exhale can slow and lengthen, and the inhale stays natural and effortless. And then just nice, slow, soft exhale. Start to feel the qualities of that slow, soft, long exhale. There's a sense of ungripping very deeply, physically, mentally, emotionally. Just imagine completely letting go of all tension in the body, all thoughts, all limitations. Let that exhale be a pathway to the state that is as vast as the universe. And you're welcome to attach a mantra to the breath. You're also welcome to be so absorbed in the breath that that's your practice for the next few minutes. You're welcome to continue meditating upright. You're also welcome to soften completely and recline in Shavasana. And of course, if there are any last movements that the body is craving, please give yourself that space. As you rest in Shavasana and relax so very deeply, just notice any sense of expansion, helping you feel more and more vast with each breath. Hmm. Just notice the receptive, spacious state you're in. And see if you can maintain that state of being as you become more aware of your physical body and make gentle movements and find your way back to seated slowly, consciously, spaciously. Thank you all for practicing. I hope you feel very rooted and supported. It was really fun practicing with you, Alice and Angeli and Roseanne. And surprise, Diana, you just appeared. I'm so glad that you were here that whole time. And Tammy, hello. Um, Take care, everybody. And if anybody has questions, I can stick around for a couple of minutes. Otherwise, see you very soon. Aloha. Hi. So good to see you.
I just wanted to apologize. I was set up my day so that I would be ready for and then life happens. So I joined late rather than ever.
You're always welcome to join late, and I just hope that the sequence was followable like halfway through, because I know there were some intricate things in there, but always great to see you.
Well, I'm going to replay it too because it sounded like it was about hips, right?
Yeah.
I'm totally going to go do that one.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Bye, Diana.